Mm. Ah, smart. Thinking ahead. Alright, so we should be up and running. Alright, let me make sure that we are. We should be. Fingers crossed nothing went wrong. And... okay, come on, there we go. And this is muted. Alright, that's fine. And okay, cool. So we should be up and going. Alright. So for those of you who are joining us to start this off, we're going to go through and introduce ourselves. Some more people should show up as time goes. And we will cycle through a lot of people's different YouTube channels and stuff so that you do get to see, who we're talking about. But as far as it goes, I guess being the host, I will start us off. My name is The Spicer on YouTube and most other platforms. I've been around for a little bit. I started doing reviews of Mobile Suit and action figures way back in the day, and then transitioned to Gunpla a couple of years back. But that's me. So who wants to jump in next? Brian, you want to go ahead and take over? Nope, it's still there, Brian. I really can't hear you. You're cutting out. Yeah. We'll see about getting him back in. Booms, you want to take over? Yeah, well, we'll save kind of the more in-depth stuff a little bit later on. We're still looking at trying to get Brian back in, so we might just end up doing it anyway. Yeah, I guess since we're still waiting on some people, guess we could talk about kind of some of the upcoming things we've got going on. What do you got going on, Boomsy? Mhm. Yeah, I saw those pictures. Like, oh, that's crazy. Ooh, I bet. Mm. That'd be cool. It's always cool seeing a channel that has a lot of diversity to it and actually having the support of their fan base around them, which is really cool to see. Yeah, it is really nice, especially with kind of like what we do is, you know, we actually get to talk to the people that are part of our content. And, you know, a lot of people have a lot of different interests, so you kind of get that built-in kind of market, as it were, of people that, you know, like Gunpla, but also in this instance, like horror, or like gaming, or just general discussion topics, things of that nature. So it is really cool to be able to do that. Yeah, yeah, it's dedicated, but it is, yeah, it is kind of niche in a way. Let's see here. Okay, it looks like we're still having a little bit of technical difficulty, so we'll try to keep filling time. As far as projects that I've got going on, I actually did just shoot my reviews for some of my Damashi today. I got the Robot Damashi Zeta and Robot Damashi New Gundam reviews coming up. Tried something a little different with some face cam and tried to spin a little humor in that, because I do understand my voice can get boring after 5+ minutes. So I'm doing that. I've been doing a lot of work kind of in a similar vein of trying different things and pursuing different interests, but on other platforms, just because it did not feel like it fit well in video format, unfortunately. But I've been doing a lot of stuff on my blog lately. I've got some Gundam parodies going on over there. I've got, let me see, I'm trying to think of what. I've got It's Always Sunny in the Space Colonies going. I've got the first scripted episode of that out on my blog, and that got pretty well received. I was pretty happy about that. I did a BoJack Horseman parody as well, and I'm working on a new type, or the IT crowd, titled The New Type Crowd. Currently, it's moving. It's going to be a little slower than the other two, though. It's been a while since I've seen The New Type Crowd, so I gotta refresh myself on that British comedy. Let me see, what else am I doing? Yeah, I think it's like a couple days, but actually I think it's like 1 or 2 days. Yeah, it was real recent. And that is something as well with those that I'm trying to do a little bit, because I'm not typically a writer. You know, a lot of my videos and stuff are kind of outlined, but they're not word for word scripted. So I know some people do that, and that works really well for them. So this was a weird transition for me, and it's going to get there. But I think trying to put, say in this instance, Char in the role of BoJack, and kind of look at the different Char clones around him, trying to replace him in his fame and everything, should be kind of an interesting story to tell. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah, you're back. No, you're good. You're good. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I felt that a lot when trying to force myself. So if I did go through a span while I was doing, it's primarily kind of my earlier Gunpla reviews, where I was like, okay, well, I want to take my content to the next level. What do I do? And everyone was talking about scripting, regardless whether it was action figure reviews, model kit reviews, gaming, general ideas of what people would talk about. And I was like, well, I guess I'll try that and see how that goes. And it didn't go great. It did feel very unnatural at first, and I've gotten to the point where I'll outline generally what I'm going to talk about and then kind of just fill the rest in. But yeah, no, the scripting for video format, I'm still getting more accurate with. But as far as everything else goes, like I said, it's a learning process, so it's getting there. Yeah, now that's how most of mine went for the longest, but it has gotten better. I think I'm over the time of, and I'm sure everyone goes through this, but kind of everyone gets a little burnout after a while and wants to try some new things. So, after I started to kind of get burnout on MSIA and doing the same thing over and over, Gunpla was kind of the new fresh thing to kind of keep me reviewing, and my channel's gone through a lot of different iterations here and there. But as far as projects, what do you have coming up, Ryan? Yeah, multiple. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually did. And I've always been interested in, it's just kind of a weird kind of cross section with collecting action figures as well. I've always had a weird relationship with Revoltech joints in general. Of they look really good on some figures and really dynamic, and then other times I'm just like, I hate these things so much. I cannot get past it. I had a couple, and I think the only one I have left is an Iron Man, actually, and it's kind of in the back of the display because it doesn't look as good as the figure art, so I'm just like, I'm going to hide this back here. Oh yeah. Now I've got a frame arm sitting under my desk from last year that I'll get to it eventually, but yeah, one day. Yeah, I think I got the torso done, and I was like, all right, that's good, and I just haven't picked it back up. But I definitely. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that, kind of going back to the burnout. I'd gotten really excited because it had been a while since I'd built a kit. When the tall geese had come out, the real gray tall geese. So I picked that up, got super excited, built it, beautiful kit. Then of course had to order the real grade wing to sit next to it, which is a little bit older and not as impressive as the tall geese, unfortunately. I did those back to back, and then I was like, hey, I really wanted to pick up one of those Bandai 160th arm slaves from Full Metal Panic. So I picked one of those up, and I built the torso and just have not touched it. It's been almost a month now. one of those weird people that rarely keeps a backlog. The Sananju real grade? Oh, I don't know why I said Sananju, yeah. No, I've thought about it, because I did just pick up that Robot Damashi new Gundam, so I need something to stand next to it, but I'll eventually pick it up, but right now I'm just like, real grades, they're killing me. Gotta push the brakes a little bit here. Yeah. Oh. We lost someone. I'm not sure who we lost, though. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Alright. Yeah, keep going, sorry. That'd be super cool. I've always really, like, had respect for the Sazabi, but I've never been super pressed to be like, oh, I've got to get a variant of it until that real grade come out. And honestly, the thing that sold me the most is that shoulder armor separation. I was like, oh man, I can't not now. Look at that shoulder separation. But I don't remember, Brian, did we talk about, I think you might have got cut off when we were talking about what projects you had coming up. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. That'd be cool. Kind of like showing, yeah, the new and the old. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta show us where we started. Well, oh, sorry, go ahead. There you go, time it right, yeah. Well, as far as, I guess I think there's at least one more person we're working on getting in. But outside of that, yeah, absolutely. Oh, oh man. Oh god, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna cheat here a little bit because I can almost guarantee I reviewed it because I'm one of those people that reviews everything they pick up. So let me find out real quick. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. It was either I want to say it was the HGUC Delta Plus or one of the age kits. It has been a minute. Oh. Alright, I'm actually gonna have to do this off screen here. What was your first kit, Brian? What about you, Boomsy? What was your first? Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I remember the early days of being like, I don't need nippers. Nippers are stupid. Just using either scissors or fingernail clippers were a good alternative at the time. It's like we need to have an intervention right now. It's like, oh, I didn't mean to. Oh my god. Oh, it was. Oops. No, I don't want to. It's no. It's always funny thinking back to your first kit and like, okay, at least I know I've made progress since then. Hey. Hey, there we go. Yep. Good morning. Yeah, I'm streaming the video right now. Oh, I don't think that's coming through, but I've got our channels pulled up and I'm just swapping between them. It's alright. Yeah. I don't know if the phone would do video. I've never actually used the phone app, to be honest. Um, I, let me see. And like I said, if nothing else, I've... Good, good. How about you? Good. Oh, it's all right. So we had started. I know you're kind of setting things up still, but we kind of started by introducing ourselves and talking about some of the projects we've got coming up. Um, so if you want to take care of that while we're doing that, then we'll kind of jump into other stuff, I guess. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do you have any kind of new video series or anything coming up? See, not too long. You get a nice relaxing weekend in and then start jumping on that. Just saying you'd be able to start getting to it Tuesday. I was like, well, yeah, you got a relaxing weekend and then you can get started on that. So, um, okay, hold on. Let me see. It's a little choppy, but we can, for the most part, understand. So, but that does. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. That's a good question. I don't. I don't. That's a hard thing to say. The tall geese, the real great tall geese, is just a beautiful kit, and it's there. Very few things about it I dislike, so it's. I didn't really do like I haven't even put decals on it yet, but I don't know that I'm going to. It just looks so nice. But I'd say as far as like a custom built thing or something I actually tried to put work into that was unique, I'd probably say I had customized a high grade Grimgird from Iron Blooded Orphans. Uh, there's some weird parts, but it was one of my more elaborate cutting, gluing, trying to put new joints in places, and it's probably one of my favorite visually, at least. Probably. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in there. It's a little bit older because I've been working on it for, on and off for a while now. But it's currently tentatively done. I don't want to mess with it anymore. But it's mostly done. Yeah, no, it. Yeah, no, it's. I've always liked purple, and there's just such a no one really plays on purple. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna paint this purple. I've got a nice paint. It's nice and thin. I like it. I'm gonna do it. That's the it's kind of like the evil looking transient, right? Yeah, I've not actually. That's probably one of the few. That, and then I was gonna pick up another Leo and just paint it like a space Leo because I'm not gonna buy the P Bandai Leo. It's not that expensive, honestly, but yeah, just paint. Yeah. I'll have to make some. I'll have to make some shelf space. I cannot talk today. Yeah, no, it's. I've got when I got the last set of Dalmashi I got in, I was like, I shouldn't do this. I don't have space. I had to reset my collection and put stuff back in boxes and sell stuff. So I've got everything up now. That's the important part. But Boomsy, what was what's kind of the kit you're proudest of build wise? Gotcha. What about you, Brian? Do you have one off the top of your head that you can kind of think of as your favorite build? Oh, that's cool. That's I always thought about when Unicorn had started showing and everything, and they were talking about. I guess at one point they mentioned that Full Frontal had a Gyaradoga, and I was like, oh, I've got to pick up that P Bandai kit, and I never did. And I've still wanted to always go back and paint a Gyaradoga or a Gyarazzulu, a nice red tone. I haven't done it though. Oh, actually, oh, okay, yeah. So I think your computer's working because I hear both your audio coming in. There you go. Yeah, yeah. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Oh well. Oh. Ah, if, like I said, worst case, I've at least got something on the screen so that we can I can have an idea of what our channels look like. But, um, oops. At least while you do that, there are a couple of things he'd mentioned earlier that had kind of got me thinking. And we kind of just touched on a little bit about the customizing and everything. Um, have you guys ever entered a contest locally or anything like that? And what was the last thing you entered? Yeah, no, it's super fun to see kind of what everyone does. Yeah. Ah. I've not built any of the kind of like human looking Gunpla yet, but I'm interested to see what that like how it actually works compared to actual design. Middle out, middle out. Take a look, because not gonna lie, when they started showing the whatever Say's mom from Build Fighters, I can't remember her name, but her mixed with the Archangel, yeah, the Rinko mixed with the Archangel, I was like, okay, I'm sold now. Like the Archangel, I can't get enough of it. We don't have it in like a good portion size anything. Like the EX model exists, but comparative, it's just not. No, what was that? Oh, sorry. No, I was just talking about. I was asking everyone, what was the last thing you'd enter in a contest? So, what was the last thing you'd enter, Brian? Yeah, yeah, the the waifu mixed with Gunpla or ships in Rinko's case. I still think that's the coolest. Like, I just wish we could get a new updated EX line to where we could get some of the ships again. Yeah, I managed to, I think, get in a trade. I can't remember what for, but I got the Minerva and the Archangel EX kits that someone had, they built. But yeah, I was super excited. I got them way back, and I just had kind of the inkling last week. I was like, I'm gonna find the Archangel again, break it out, and repaint it like I'd wanted to begin with. And unfortunately, I never actually went to look for it, but. Yeah, I wish that line would come back, especially with him kind of expanding and doing some other new kits. It would be nice, but I guess. Yeah, I think one of the hobby towns by my house has one, and it's massive. But yeah, no, it's cool looking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it better be huge for that. Yeah, that would. I love ship designs in general. I just wish we would get more, especially from Gundam, because they have some pretty strong ones. But yeah, it is just kind of like, unless you're Star Trek or Star Wars, you're really not getting any ship love, which is really disappointing. Understandably, because they're the biggest, but yeah. Oh, the someone I can't remember. I want to say it's Coda Bakia. I think makes a kit of that because I'd seen someone a couple months back go through and like paint it up and weathered it and everything, and it looked awesome. But I think it's supposed to be an older kit. I don't think it's. I think it's like 10 years old or something at this point. I don't think I've ever seen it in person, but at least the pictures look real good, so that's a plus. Mm. Hey, I've got to cut myself off. I can't do it. Oh, it is. Oh, it's. Is it the high grade or master grade? Uh, yeah. It's it's a pretty good. It's been a while, and it's not out on display anymore. But I had a couple of issues with the hips, the hip connection, but that might have just been me. Other than Sengoku Astray, I'm the only one here who doesn't have the real great Sazabi at this point. I had to up my game. Yeah, we're just gonna start a little. Yeah, it's just like, hey guys, send me money so I can buy the sauce. Yeah, I only need like $40 tops, depending if it's shipped. If it's here, I can probably get it for less than that. But yeah. Oh, there we go. So I've got to enter in now. Oh, I know, right? Get those different heads. Oh, that was the whole thought when I like the promotional images started coming out. I was like, I'm gonna need 4. I'm gonna need like 16 regular Leos. I'm gonna have some squads going. It's gonna look great. Only. Hmm. As much as I would like to, more likely than not, what I'd probably do is just spend the money on regular Leos in the tilt rotors, because I'm not gonna lie, that tilt rotor fits so well. I'm just like, yeah, I don't need Space Forces, or I'll just repaint them if I had to. Yeah. The one thing I will say, like the Leo's great. I'm super happy we get a high grade, especially kind of right along the real great talkies, because they match real well. I'm kind of disappointed that they. I mean, granted, it's fairly inexpensive kit comparatively, but you didn't get any head rotation when it was kind of built to where it would have been fairly easy to do that. Like, you get it on a ball joint, so it kind of wobbles a little, but you really don't get a lot of side to side, and kind of not great that you have to mod that to get it to do it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's anime accurate, to be super honest. I don't remember them turning their heads at all, but it is kind of nice for any kind of like video or photography or anything to kind of get it to be able to do it, because it doesn't look crazy unnatural. But yeah, as far as construction goes, it wasn't like there's just a few placements they would have had to change a little bit, or just made some different pegs, but it would have been a fairly simple construction. Probably not honestly been a little easier on them, but it's still not a bad kit, and it's still real solid. But yeah, no, I'd probably end up, even though the space backpack is pretty cool looking, I'd probably just end up buying and regularly own, just painting it. But actually, it's just kind of a weird tangent, but since I had started out when I started my channel reviewing Mobile Suit in Action, those old kind of early 2000s figures, there were other people at the time who had done that, and I had started doing my first podcast way back in the day with those guys, but one of them, I think he's Army of Toys now on YouTube, but he used to be Joshua Gandamu. He's actually got a process where he can change the color of the plastic, which is really, he explained it to me once, it was really in depth, but He actually just put pictures out, I think, on one of the Gundam groups on Facebook, that he had dyed, or he had changed the color of a Leo to the blue Leo, and it looked just like the regular MSI release back in the day. I was like, wow, he's getting it. He's doing good work. Quick shout out, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, we've got that. Let me think. Yeah, it was really cool. He's a great guy. Outside of, I guess we've talked about our projects and our channels and stuff. I guess I'd kind of, part of what I'd originally wanted to do, other than just kind of keep up with everyone and see how our channels were growing and everything. And Boomsy kind of mentioned this a little earlier. What are you guys kind of looking at goal wise, as far as where you want your channel to be? In kind of the near future. Boomsy said he wanted to get to 200 subs. What are you guys kind of looking to do in the future? So there you go. You just, after a while, you just kind of stop paying attention to it, and you're like, oh hey, I have more than I thought I did. Yeah. What about you, Brian? What are kind of some of your ideas? Mm-hmm. Huh. I've never actually run a. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I've actually never run a giveaway, so it's actually really interesting to see people and kind of listen to them and kind of see kind of how that all works, because I've never actually done that, so that's kind of cool. Mhm. Oh, mental note. Oh man, that's still cool though. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh, shipping costs are insane. Yeah. Just, hey, here's just $50. Have fun. Yeah, that's cheaper. Yeah. Oh. So now I'm gonna have to enter both contests. I know. Oh. Shiny. You're getting prepared. You're ready. Had to count everything. Oh God. Ooh. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking here. Oh, okay. Here we go. Pull this up on the chat. Whoa, yeah, you've got some backlog there. Oh man. I like that you counted too. You were prepared. You're like, all right, let's see here. Oh man. Oh, is that a? What Tuggies 2 is that? Ah, okay, yeah, that's so I thought it was, but I couldn't tell. It's like, is that the one I think it is? Is it I guess that's a. At, oh man. Smart. Oh man, no. Oh, I'm trying to think. So that's how it goes. It's funny. Kind of talking about this. I was thinking about it earlier. Kind of mentioning, yeah, when I first started building Gunpla, and for kind of in the middle period, I guess between then and now, I would get down. I'd get an HG straight built in probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'd just forget about it, and I'd go back to it. Like I've gone back to a lot because I've been trying to kind of thin out my display so I can fit the stuff I want up there. And I'm going back and I'm like, oh my god, these nub marks are awful. I feel ashamed. What's wrong with me? So I've tried to go back and clean some up, and it's, oh yeah, no, it is. I've noticed it's taken me now, like I think the real grade tall geese and the real grade wing. I think both of those ended up taking me. I think it was about a 4 or 5 day span. I think for, making sure everything was clean, doing some panel lining, doing some slight coloration here and there, and it's been, I think the only backlog I've got though is that frame arms and that Gurn's back from Full Metal Panic. I think I'm the disappointing one of the bunch as far as backlog's concerned. I actually take that back. I have a bear guy somewhere as well. I have 3 kits. Oh god. Oh. Oh my. Jesus. There's so many. Mm-hmm. A little bit. Which one? Oh yeah. Now you've got 3 more to add to that. Oh my god, you've got, you are set for a long time. Oh. People are. It's the optimal spot. Oh, I know. If you're in the bathroom, you're probably doing other things. Uh, so, what we've done so far to catch you up, we introduce ourselves and then kind of talk about projects we've got going. So if you want to kind of rush those in, more than welcome to. Oh yeah, the oh, that'd be crazy. That's an interesting question. What I mean, we can tell that we can actually visually see. But what kit have you built that's not a Gundam? That's just any other mech or a plane or a warship or whatever that you've actually liked the most? That's actually kind of like the funnest build. Yeah, it could be any other mech. So like the Avas. I know the stuff from Eureka 7 had some releases way back. We've got the new Gurns backs from Invisible Victory, the Full Metal Panic show. Um, I'm trying to look to see if I got anything up on my shelves that would. I Code Geass had some stuff. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we'll count that. That would be cool. I've always like had fond memories of the Zoids and all the stuff, and I always thought about picking one up, and I never have. That'll be another on the list of things to Patreon for apparently. To be like, hey guys, let's get a list here, you know. Uh, yeah, those are really cool. Because they've got some newer releases too, haven't they? They kept doing Zoids, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh God. That's insane. Ugh. The Zulu for oh. the yeah. At this point, I think we're the only two that don't have it. Trying to think. Since I don't have like much of a backlog, I can't really think of anything I'm saving for a rainy day. It's more of just like I got burnt out and I was like, I don't want to mess with this right now. I would probably have to say if I were gonna go back and mess with one kit, it's probably, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I don't know. There's some things I'd like to do to the master grade Endless Waltz heavy arms, the Verkov version, or I guess it's just the EW version. It was one of the earlier master grades I had built, and I didn't really do much to it. I painted the missiles and the Gatlings and everything, but I didn't do much in the way of panel lining. I didn't really weather it at all, and I think that that has a lot of opportunity that I might mess with. But yeah, not having a backlog makes that more difficult. But at Boomsy, I think you had said the Z Zulu, right? Yep. Yeah. Mobile suit hanger. Actually. Do you have any rainy day treasured kit that you're waiting to build? I think actually you said, didn't you? The real grade Sosby. All right, I'm catching myself up. So we've got that now. I think here is there, outside of kind of everything we've talked about, is there anything that you guys have had a question about that you'd like to ask other creators or kind of the people watching, or just kind of curiosity? Any other random things pop into your head? Yeah. That'd be really good. I think I've seen a custom of both the Barbados and the Julieta. I guess it's just the Julieta. Yeah. But I don't think they had it on a diorama set or anything like that with the other grazes, so that would that'd actually be really cool because that's a super dynamic scene and it looks really awesome. That's always something that has like, because I also do a little bit of like figure photography, kit photography on the side, and I've got a couple of diorama sets that I've bought in the past, but I've never like actually gone through to make one, and I think that'll probably be like my next big challenge whenever I kind of build up steam to do that, is because I've always liked whenever anyone has done a diorama that shows any kind of water, because it's always interesting looking, and I'm like, God, I wish I could do that, but that takes some work. I think it's definitely like it's a good step as far as customizing goes to get some of that weathering and get some of that in. Um, it's definitely like it's, I don't know. Some people really take to it very quickly, and I'm not one of those people. So I've been very like I'm either too heavy-handed or it's too light and you can't see it. It's a whole issue, but that's definitely like a good direction to head, especially for the World Cup. So no. It's kind of like a mesh camo topping or something like that. Definitely, yeah, definitely. It's always cool to see people's progress on dioramas and customs in general. Of you to like, because it starts out looking so just like, hey, here's a figure, here's a kit standing on something, and then it really takes shapes around it, and it's like, oh man, that's really cool. Yeah, we saw it grow and get designed and everything. But yeah, definitely for the World Cup, if you're wanting to advance or just test your skill, dioramas are a good way to go in just general design. And as far as customizing, kind of doing some light weathering or something, but setting the scene is something I've found really difficult in a lot of photography stuff that I've messed with. That you really have to kind of get in a different frame of mind of, okay, this is where the camera would be, and you kind of have to get an idea. And it's a thing. There's definitely a lot of people out there that do crazy jobs, and you're like, man, that's so good, and it is like I think I'm trying to think of two people in particular that have done a lot of stuff in the last 6 months, last year with Gundam stuff. I think Shooting the Galaxy's one. He's a killer photographer, and I think it's Akira Joe's the other guy. But both of them do amazing, they do a lot of cool cityscape stuff that's in scale with Damashi or high grades, and it looks so cool. But yeah, that world. Go ahead. That's a really good, I've noticed that in our area we've got, or in my area rather, we've got a fairly large grouping of people who have weekly meetup, or not weekly, monthly meetups and build nights and stuff. And seeing that grow since it had gotten started, it's really kind of almost shocking as how many people show up now. But yeah, no, it is growing. I'm not sure as to why. I'm sure there's probably some reason. I'm not sure, but I probably have to say, as far as advice, I don't remember who it was, but I remember I was watching. It might have been Robert 184 back in the day. It's been a long time. It was him or someone else. I want to say it was him. But he had said, if you're looking to get into it, the best thing you can do, regardless of what grade, what scale, whatever it is just pick a kit you like, regardless whether or not you have an attachment to it. As long as you like the design, it should keep you going. And I think that's probably one of the most solid pieces, because generally, everyone says, hey, start, like a high grade or something a little bit easier to dive into, and then build your way up. And I don't know, I've seen people start on real grades and master grades and just love it and say, oh, I don't want to go back, or I don't want to go down to high grades or anything. So I guess it depends on the person. But yeah, just having the design that you like is, I probably would say, one of the most important parts. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's something that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. It's very easy to do. Oh, that's. Yeah, that. It's. Yeah, it's rare to see a community, especially having a real big influx of new people, be really kind of. I mean, you do have the few people that are like, oh, you should really. They give criticism a little harshly, to put it nicely. But yeah, it's really nice to see people come in and say, hey, this is my first kit, or this is my first kit in like 10 years. I'm coming back to it. And, everyone's usually really on board, and, people will offer, hey, if you want to clean up your nub marks a little bit easier, here's, this kind of way to do it. Or, if you want to paint, this is kind of what you're looking at. And it's nice to see people not be afraid to post in groups saying, hey, what paint should I use? How should I go about this? And, it's kind of a funny story. That's much like Boomsy had said, is you get inspired by someone already doing this, and that's effectively how my channel had gotten started way back with the old action figures and stuff. Was I had seen, I want to say it was like 2011, 2012, and Patrick 1969 had been doing reviews of Mobile Suit in Action at the time, yeah. It was Robot Damacy had just got it started, and it was brand new, and not a lot of people were doing it. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna join this contest and everything. And I didn't win, but I was like, I'm gonna start reviewing things. And at the time, I think he had like 700, 800 subscribers, maybe 1,000. And I was like, he's never going to answer this. And of course he did. And I was like, oh, yay, that's exciting. And yeah, we still talk. We still do podcasts on other stuff. And it's exactly like Boomsy had said, and you had said as well, Fate, that anyone who's starting out that, just has questions or anything, just feel free to reach out to any YouTuber. I know YouTube's not the best messaging platform anymore, but you've got the comments, and all of us are pretty much active in most of the Gunpla related groups. So you'll see us float around there every so often. But yeah, it's cool to have a supportive community. It is, and it's cool that it's unique to this kind of community and this hobby in general. Is that not only do you have a lot of supportive people in the community, regardless wherever they are in the world, you have Bandai being pretty supportive, of course, because they want to make money, but they have the World Cup go international. It has, I think, 4 stops in North America. There's several. I want to say there's 1 or 2 or 3 stops in Europe, I think. And it's cool to see that. And granted, it's usually not one of the Americans or the Europeans that win, but it's still cool that you get to take part in that, even if it's just to test your skill at painting or something and see everyone else's efforts. It's like, this is happening. Yeah, it's cool to see that. Yeah, it's definitely, it gives you that kind of personal sense of like, oh, they liked my photo and they followed me. I feel really good about this. But it's definitely unique. You don't see a lot of other. It almost seems kind of like like fighting game communities and stuff where people will have get-togethers and their own little mini contests, and you kind of get to be a part of that and meet a lot of new people, and that's pretty cool. You don't really get that in most other hobbies. I guess hobbies do have that, just I'm not a part of them, so I don't really think about it, but yeah, definitely. It's it's a pretty cool thing. I can remember that is, I think it's the last time I've been in a contest. It's a couple of years ago now, but I'd seen some friends I had met from other conventions and stuff, and we talked and went through everyone's kits and everything, and there was one guy that had it's just a basic GM, and he had painted it so well that everyone's like, oh yeah, no, he absolutely airbrushed that. There's no way it was hand brushed. And um, me and a friend went up and talked to him afterwards. He's like, yeah, no, it took me a long time, but I hand brushed it. Yeah, I had to make sure I thinned the paint right and everything, and it was immaculate. And yeah, it's just regardless of really what state you get, up, and I guess eventually, I guess you'll start kind of hitting a wall where you're like, okay, I know more than everyone else, but for all of us, really, we're all kind of in the same boat where we are in that situation where we have people that we can really pull from as far as learning new techniques and customization or painting or just general build ideas in general. And that's a cool place to be because you're, enough to be like, hey, new people, I can, kind of give you advice on panel lining or how to thin your paint or whatever. And then, you have the crazy advanced people that they're like, so, if you use lacquer paint the wrong way, I melted this kit and I had to go buy a new one. It's like, how did what? What? It, it's a trip. There's a lot of cool stuff that you learn from these communities and these meetups, and definitely, I would assume, kind of universally, everyone kind of will be on the same page. If you've got a group close to you, definitely, even if you don't bring anything to build, just hang out and talk to people. You've got common ground, so it's a little scary at first if you're not super social or anything, but it's definitely well worth it. You meet a lot of cool people and learn a lot of cool things. But oh, go ahead. Hmm. Yeah, no, it is something that everyone has their their nitpicks and everything, but it's how you offer them, and you can see people who have really great custom ideas or something that might need to work on their painting a little bit, and you don't have to be mean or anything about it, but you do want to give them pointers on hey, if you want to thinning this paint would work this way. This mixture works usually pretty good, or slightly different tones, or slightly different types of paints. I know it's probably closer to like a 60-40, 70-30 split, but I know a lot of people who, when they start painting, will just pick up normal acrylic paints from like a Walmart or a Target that are not designed for exactly that. So they're thicker, they're not pre-thinned, and you can get away with that for a while, but it does start to get noticeable, and you'll need to look into other things. But it's definitely something you want to encourage that, and most of the community is pretty good about it. I at least think. I do have to say my pet peeve, if I had to give one, um, is it's really difficult to see some of these cool customs and things when people don't take great pictures, which isn't necessarily, it's not a camera thing by any means, and I usually don't pick on people for this, but it even if you've got a old phone camera that is not great, as long as you can get a focused, decently lit photo, that's all that matters. The resolution itself, it's not a big deal, but yeah, it is kind of disheartening after a while to see people with really clean builds or good custom ideas take these very poorly lit photos and say, hey guys, get excited, and it's like, I want to be so excited for you, but this just unnerves me so mad. But that's a nitpick of mine. And like I said, I don't pick on people because I know photography is not, I'm not great at it, and I've been doing it for a while, so I can understand people just wanting to get a photo out. But it's easy, just throw a lamp, make sure it's not overexposed, and yeah, you're pretty good. But most everyone has gotten pretty solid at that. But I see it more in action figure groups, honestly. But that's just kind of my nitpick. But are there any other kind of questions or thoughts that you guys had that you kind of want to see what people had thoughts on? Does Overlord actually have mechs in it? they're like magic mechs. Is that how it works? Oh yeah, yeah. I think I watched. I think the first episode. It's a couple years old now. I think the design was really cool. Yeah, they were really weird at first. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but they grew on me real hard, and it's a real shame we don't have like a decent, reasonably priced, easy to find model kit variant of any of those. Trying to think of what. Of course, Full Metal Panic's a good one. It's kind of Sunrise's side project when they're not messing with Gundam. I think Buddy Complex was pretty good, but it was just a Gundam clone, but it was still pretty decent. I'm trying to think of what else. Mech. Oh, it's been so long since I've even looked at Escaflowne. Ah. Are any of you in the, I want to say it was just like the general Gundam group on Facebook. I think it was just titled Gundam. Okay. So I guess this happens every once in a while. I've never paid attention, but one of the admins had changed the name of the group to the Mazinger Appreciation Group, and a bunch of people lost it. And I was like, oh my god, people are losing it, and it's entertaining to a certain point, but it's just like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. I don't care. But yeah, no. To be super honest though, that Mazinger high grade that came out looks amazing, and I'm kind of bummed that it's the size of a master grade roughly, because I super don't have room for it now. Let me think. Code Geass is always a good one. Always go back to that. Its mech designs are... Yeah, they're, is it a new series or is a new movie coming out? Yeah, yeah. I was a lot more tentative of like, okay, it's like one of my favorite series of all time. Its endings is arguably one of the best anime in my opinion. At least in mech anime, if nothing else. And I was like, oh god, they're gonna do something, and then they did the recap movies and they changed a couple of things, and I'm looking forward to it now. I've gotten past the initial like, oh god, now I'm pretty excited for it. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. New mech designs, of course. You've got to get some more nightmares out there, and give Bandai more reason to steal money from me. God, that's so great. Like unfortunately, those older, like 1/35th scale Nightmare Frame kits are not as great, but I'll buy the Damashi. I don't care at this point. I will spend a stupid amount of money. That would probably be, if I had one like prized possession, it would have to be probably one of the Damashis, and it's probably one of the Code Geass ones, to be super honest. Because those things are stupid expensive sometimes. Most of the time. Yeah, they're not cheap to begin with, much less, hey, here's a show that we aren't producing a lot of stuff for, and here's an exclusive. And it's like, oh god, please stop. Yeah, and I mean, it's really a perspective thing of like, it was a weird transition where I went from the mobile suit and action figures to model kits, and the biggest benefit of that, other than having fun building them, was you have such a big selection that you didn't get. And regardless, I still have a good selection. I'm still kind of pissed off that Bandai hasn't given us a Taurus in like 20 years. Like, Bandai, come on, it's not that hard. Oh. Yeah, so that's the problem. Was they also came out of the Leo in the Mobile Suit Action and Damashi, and I'm like, I swear, Bandai, you will get a letter if you do not give us a Taurus. I don't care what it is, just a Taurus. I don't care what scale, I don't care what grade, just give us one. I'll take a first grade or an advanced grade. I don't, whatever those are called now. I just want a Taurus. But yeah, no. The Taurus, it's gotten so much hate, or not hate, just it's been neglected so long, and it's so sad. But yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. I know they went back and at least the Damashi they revamped it and everything because their first release of the Zaku was not received well. But it would be nice to get like a good, solid master grade and high grade kind of release, and then to recolor it from there, of course. But I think we got we got the new high mobility type. Johnny Raiden's Zaku to real grade, right? Not too long ago. Yeah, so that's an interesting. Yeah. Do you guys have, while he's doing that, any kind of like organization to your shelf? Do you do it by series, by release date, by Power Rangers color schemes? Makes sense. Especially in a D12. Oh, yeah, I'm getting to that point. I'm going to have to invest in some D12s soon. Throw that on top of the GoFundMe for the real grade Sazabi at this point. Oh, that's awesome. Got all of them. That's awesome. No, I heard you. I don't think so. If I'm correct, isn't that the high grade Thunderbolt Zaku one? okay. That kind of brings up an interesting question. What would... So we all have one kit that we definitely want in one grade or another that has not been built yet. And at this point, I think it's fairly obvious. Mine's the Leo in anything. Preferably, I'd like a real grade. I'm not going to lie, but I'd take a high grade. What about you guys? What kit has not been made that you're like, okay, we need this? That'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah, actually, kind of thinking about that. Build. Yeah, I don't. IBO didn't get any master grades, did they? No master grades. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was just thinking about that. I was like, wait a second. Huh. I don't know. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, no, we're going to have to send a memo over to Bandai. Very strongly worded letter. Listen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would even take if they came out with an RG for the Barbados and just had option sets to pick which one you wanted. Yeah, it'd be more expensive. It seems more like a Bandai thing to do anyway, but I would be super into it. As opposed to releasing 8 different variants of the Barbados, which I could also see them doing. Have parts. Yeah, and just write in which one you want, and then they'll send it to you. Oh, absolutely. They're like, okay, the original Barbados, that's regular release. Everything else is P Bandai. It's like, guys, seriously. Oh, man. Kind of update it. Mm. Kind of do one of those with the origin design or something like that. Hmm. Kind of makes me think. Huh. So I guess this is, an interesting question. I don't know. Most people probably kind of assume, but what is your favorite line to build? Like, I know for the longest I had sworn off real grades because I had a couple bad experiences, and now I'm not 100% real grades are my go-to. It's still high grades because they're cheaper and easier to build. But I'm feeling pretty good on real grades. What do you guys prefer? Like, what do you go towards typically? There you go. We helped you kill the time. Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunately, like, I was super excited to get it. I like the design a lot, but yeah, I kind of there's certain areas that are like, this doesn't feel good, and it kind of makes me wish that we had gotten the wing Fenice in a master grade because it would have been mostly solid because they already had like 80-90% of it done. But whatever, that's fine. Yeah. Bam. See? Pays to have friends that spend way too much money on Gunpla. And it's like, hey, build this for me. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it goes back to like people with large backlogs, or they're intimidated, or I mean, a lot of times I've even noticed people really, really want the end result as opposed to anything else. So yeah, most of those people are the people who buy action figures anyway. But when you can't get an action figure for them, the next best thing is the model kit. Like, for instance, I've got a friend who occasionally builds. It's kind of a rarity, but yeah, he's been on the hunt for a new Gundam forever. It's one of his favorite designs. And I know when he finds one, it's probably going to be the master grade, and he's probably going to be like, hey, so will you build this for me? Because I don't have the time or want to, because it's going to be a lot of work. I was like, yeah, no, I can handle that. But, yeah, I guess it's a prerogative, and they do miss out on a lot of the fun of the hobby, but yeah, some people just like to set things on shelves, so it's a prerogative. Yeah, but they do miss a lot of the fun. Building it is quite enjoyable. It's always a fun thing of like, hey, yeah, you build this, then you're like, oh, I really wanted to build that though. Sad. Oh yeah. That's one of the things that's really hard to recommend like new people to the hobby, or people who are new to it as far as kits go. Is like you'll most kits are pretty fine. Yeah, it's not a big deal. But you'll hit that one kit that just kills you on the inside, and you're just like, I'm so close to just stopping forever. And I have to say, unfortunately, the real grade seed figures have done that to me. And like that's why I stopped building real grades for so long. Is the real grade Strike Ale or Ale Strike and Destiny? I was just like, nope, nope. I built them almost back to back, and it's like I hate both of these. Like either I did something wrong or my kits were not great, but it's just yeah, they both like kept falling apart, and yeah, it was a rough time. So they're not on display, to say the least, but I mean, I built the Exia before that, and the Exia is phenomenal. Then I built the red frame after that. I was like, okay, yeah, the real grade line's not bad. I've just had bad experience. But I'm definitely gonna say that now. Anyone looking, don't buy those. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Interesting. Huh. Was it the full Bernier, or was it just the normal version? Interesting. That's one I've always. I'm gonna out myself. Is probably one of the most unpopular opinions in Gundam. I hate Kowaraki. I think he's like one of the worst characters in Gundam. But I like the full Bernier, and I was like, oh, I gotta pick that up one day, and I never did. So thankfully for me, apparently, but it's a weird conflict I have with. I dislike the pilot, but I like the suit enough that I'll build it. But apparently, it's not great, so I don't have to worry about it. Mm. Yeah, no, it was really weird for me to build the tall geese and be super hype and it live up to all those expectations and then go back and build the Endless Waltz version of the Wing Gundam and be like, okay, this was only like a year or two older, but it's not like there's so many weird, finicky, odd designs that just don't really work. And I kind of almost regret having it up there, but it's alright. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it's like I like that design a lot, and it's the only version of the Wing Gundam I've got because I'm still missing like just the original Wing Gundam. I had the high grade, but I painted it and kind of screwed it up. But like I don't, yeah, it's a cool design, but it's just not executed very well, and the tall geese just puts it to shame standing next to it. So I'm like, I either have to move it somewhere else in the display or just take it down because it doesn't look great, unfortunately. Like it visually is fine, but yeah, just the articulation, some of the proportions, especially in contrast to the tall geese, are just awful, and it doesn't like it stands okay, but for having the disproportionately big feet that it does not stand well enough. And I've not broken anything off of it, but pieces will just go flying, and then I find them like a week later, and it's like I don't want to put them back together. I'm just not worrying about it. So oh yeah, no, it's a weird discrepancy of like is it older than the Exia is? I don't remember. Okay. As I say, the Exia has proportional to maybe too small of feet comparatively, but it stands fine. I've never had any major issues posing it. Same thing with the red frame, which is significantly newer, and the tall geese as well, one of the newest ones. But yeah, no, it's proportionally done so poorly, and the feet just have too many moving parts and are just awkward. It yeah, it's eventually probably going to come off of the shelf eventually, but yeah, it's not great. Mm-hmm. Yep. I the only issue I had with it, other than it actually centers around it anyway. The clear pieces that go like on the shoulders and in the thighs. I lost one of those, only one. So that one thigh piece looks super weird, and it bothers me to this day. Because it's just like clear plastic that goes in there over a sticker, but it's tinted enough that it's like, oh yeah, that would have looked really cool had I not lost it. But no, it's a phenomenal build. It's really solid, very sturdy. It's very reminiscent of the tall geese in terms of feel. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break. It doesn't feel fragile. Yeah, the shoulders, yeah, they could be better, but most, I mean, up until I guess, yeah, I'd probably say the tall geese, most of the shoulders have had some kind of weird, finicky thing to them. So, but yeah. Yeah, people are slowly hopping off. Before we jump off, I want to. Some members that did pop in actually didn't get to say anything, or some of the people who wanted to participate didn't want to say anything. They just left some messages for us to read. But MPG Hobbyist, which I'll pull up his channel here in a second, Said hello to all of those in the Philippines. Hello, Ka Misers. I'm not sure what that is. Get more SDs. Love y'all. Keep building. That's his message. And his channel is right here for any of you interested. Right there. A lot of SDs. Yeah, I hope. Hold on. Let me see. What did he say? He said, hello, Ka Misers. Ka-Mizers. Either it's an inside joke or some kind of reference to something, or people are going to call me out on it later. We'll find out. So, yeah, I'm just going to lose like half my subscribers overnight. I'll just be like, oh, well, great. This is what I wanted to happen. This is my goal. Everyone else is like, hey, we want to move forward. I'm like, nah, see, the real talent's moving backwards. Then Paul Motion Productions also couldn't be here, and he wanted to just get a shout out to his channel. Nothing in particular he wanted to shout out other than he had picked up the Blastmaster Jagan, and he'll be working on that soon. I think so. Yeah, I think those are the two main things. Yeah, it's Jagan. There were some people thinking there were Jesta parts in there, but I think those are just new parts. And yeah, the satellite cannons from I think the Double X. Yeah, it's not bad. I do have to say is I don't know, it's a weird thing. I remember when Build Fighters was first announced and Age was announced around the same time. I was like, yeah, Age all the way. Build Fighters is stupid. It's just a commercial. And then I super changed my tone on that very quickly because Age is not great and Build Fighters was actually pretty entertaining for what it was. And it has one of my favorite designs of all time, the Wing Fenice. And everything for the most part was really solid. I feel like Build Divers, it does appeal to people, but most of the kits for me, I'm just like, yeah, not really into it. But I remember, I'm not going to drone on forever, I promise. But the big con, the big convention that happens around here, I was going through it, and I kept seeing this guy with pretty about shoulder length black hair. He had a little kind of bun thing in the back, brown jacket, and I was just like, oh yeah, he's just holding some Gunpla. He's going to the World Cup thing. I had seen him like 4 or 5 times continuing to hold it. I'm like, okay, there's something here. And it dawned on me he was cosplaying Fellini, the guy who built the Fenice, and he had the Fenice in his hands, and I stopped and I was like, oh my god, I just caught on to that. You were a genius. And he's like, oh yeah, you're like you're like only the second person to stop me all week, and I'm like, you keep doing you, sir. You're doing good, doing God's work. But yeah, no, that. No, I mean, he might have. I didn't see him do it because that place was very packed and it was mostly just lines, but I hope he did. I hope he was smooth enough to be like, hey, listen, Gunpla. And hopefully, he got some numbers. I don't know. I hope he did. Shout out to that guy if he ever listens. I doubt. I don't know who that guy is, but shout out to that guy. He's cool. But yeah, no, those designs I feel like are getting kind of weaker. But that's just me. Just me. Yeah, I mean, I was stoked to see some, the Age love, because Age 2 is the second arc of Age, and the Age 2 Gundam, very strong designs. The blue Vegan suit was pretty cool. But yeah, and everything else since, other than like the Astray no name, I'm just like, not really all that excited. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. Oh. Yeah, I got him pulled up on the stream here, so the all two people watching see him. I guess people have fallen off as well, unfortunately. But yeah, no, definitely always awesome to see people shout out channels, especially, you know, people just starting, because it does feel like you get excited and then you get to that point where it's like, oh, I'm kind of, wow, this is kind of hard. And, you know, a lot of people push through that, and that's always good to see. So I'm definitely excited to see people coming up and doing their own thing. Amazing. Bam. Awesome. Yeah, that's what the hobby's for. And any last sign-offs you guys want to do before we wrap this up? Somewhere in there. It's going to depend on... I'll have to ask everyone who participates again as far as who we can get, and you know, if people want to kind of split things up between like kind of the North American side and the Pan-Pacific, just because of the time gap. We can do it, but it's pretty much this time slot, and that's difficult for some people. So we'll see. But if nothing else, at least monthly. We might do it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But at least monthly. Hey, no problem. Thanks for stopping by, and everyone that has stopped in and watched or stopped by and participated, we really do appreciate it. It is what makes this community so awesome. So thanks, guys, for watching. Be sure to check out everyone's channels, and we will see you in either 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Thanks, guys.